Dawson Rider Review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with a review of the Q Rex Megazord from Power Rangers Super Megaforce. So this is the Silver Ranger's Zord, the Super Mega Silver Ranger Zord Orion. It's named Q Rex, well, partly, as a tribute to the Q Rex from Time Force. And, this is supposed to be sort of an all-in-one tribute Megazord to Mighty Morphin, Dino Thunder, and Time Force. So, I know there's a lot of people that hated that they named it that, and thought it was a rip-off, even though it was supposed to be a tribute, but I kind of like it. And plus, wasn't the original Q Rex a prototype anyway? But that's enough rambling for me. So anyhow, you get this Q Rex here, and then usually you do get a Ranger key, and in this case it is Dino Thunder right here, which we'll be going over and talking about in a second. But first, let's move all this junk out of the way to go over the beautiful box. We know the boxes are the stars of my review, guys. There's not a whole lot to go over. The top there, you can see that's where the key was. It says Dino Thunder, shows that it's Zord Builder, shows the 3 modes, Drill, Rex, and Megazord Mode. On the side, you just get generic key advertisements, picture of Q Rex Megazord there. On the other side, you get pretty much nothing except for an advertisement for the app. And then the only real reason I wanted to show the box in this review is just to show, it shows, a little bit of the line that's coming out for the rest of Super Megaforce, or the Megazord line, rather. We've got right here, here's the Ninja Storm Tribute Zord, and here's some of the cycles for the fall line, which we saw a while back, and how they combine with Zord Builder. And then, of course, the Turbo Falcon Zord, which you can see it's riding on there in its lame mode, and then its all together mode, and then it actually got its own Megazord mode, which is actually really cool. So yeah, that's what's in store for us, but now we will get Mr. Boxy out of the way. Yes, that's right, it's a Mr. Show some respect, because this guy's gonna need all the space he can get. He's a fatty. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I just wanted to show that, because this get a little bit of a sneak preview. But first, before we dive into Q Rex here, let's take a look at the key. So like I said, you get a Dino Thunder Red key, which isn't necessarily entirely out of left field, because as I said, it is partially Dino Thunder tribute. But I think, obviously, the perfect choice would have been a Quantum Ranger key. I know it's not a Red Ranger key like they like to include technically, but he is the red color, and he was included in Forever Red. So that would have been perfect. Not a huge deal, but anyway, you get the key, and honestly it's pretty good looking. That standard little tiny, slightly chubby key, but it looks pretty good. I think the head sculpt actually looks really nice. The white edges around the visor look good, so it's a pretty good looking key. So, hold its arms up, and boom, there it is in key mode. And then, let's go ahead and show the sounds in the Legendary Morpher, if I could put it in the right way and I'm not an idiot. That doesn't seem right. Let's try that again. There we go. That's the one we were thinking of. Shocking. So there you go. There's your Ranger key. So let's go ahead and set him aside now and move on to this. Alright, so this is the first of its modes. I decided to start it off in this one since this is what it essentially comes in box in. This is the Rex mode, or the Q Rex mode, I guess, on its own. It's pretty cool looking. Honestly, this is probably my favorite of the 3, just in general from the show, just because I'm really a sucker for dinosaurs. And it's pretty cool looking. Overall, I find this version to be fairly solid. I think it does have a few problems. For the most part, there are some paint apps missing. I will show a comparison to Goju Rex here in a minute, and there is some paint apps missing to it, mainly up around the head area. I find it to be bothersome. There's supposed to be a little bit of gold paint here. It's not a huge deal, but it really does look cool when they have it, so that's just the one thing. My only other main problem is it's got some slight proportion issues for me. His neck looks kind of strangely slender and strangely proportioned, and if you can move his head a little bit to possibly fix it, but it just honestly looks a little strange to me. It might just be me, but there is that. And then there is this sort of weird gap here for the tail, but they're honestly pretty minor issues. It's overall not bad. He's a little bit more slender than the other one, but it's just ever so slightly things that bother me like that. I'm going to twist it this way because I like having that facing down. But anyway, that's pretty much it for that. As for what he can do, he really can't do that much. He can move his arms a little bit like this. They don't bend, but you can move them. As you saw, you can move his jaw here a little bit for that. You can move his tail around a little bit, spin it. The spinning gimmick's more easy to do there. His legs can move a little bit, and you got some bending here because he needs to be able to stand up straight or bend depending on what mode you have him in. But you really can't do a whole lot with it. But for the most part, he looks pretty solid. He's still a pretty cool looking Zord. I really do dig his design. I mean, he's pretty decent. I wish they had just put a little more effort into some of the paint apps here just to make him have that extra dose of cool. And the proportion issues are honestly something I can get over. It's not really a huge deal and almost more of a nitpick than anything. Let's go ahead and we'll take a quick look at him next to his Japanese counterpart, Q Rex. So bring him in here, and here he is, and you can check out my review for that here. Let's hope I remember to put that in. Seriously, I always forget. So there's the difference there. As you can see, this guy is a little bit on the larger side, and the paint apps are around him, which does look a little bit better. Like I said, just that small attention to detail with the paint apps I think would have been nice. But there is the primary difference between them, as you can see. That's pretty much it. Here's a bit of a frontal view of the two. So yeah, that's pretty much them. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start transformation. The only other thing I almost forgot to note, which I probably will note later when I bring him back in, is that guy has a different kind of tail gimmick that actually works differently, which I guess I'll show off later. But anyhow, we're going to go ahead and do the drill mode first. It's probably my least favorite, but let's go ahead and get it out of the way. So to do that, we're essentially going to take this guy apart. The other one, there's a lot more folding involved, but this guy we're just going to take apart. Just for ease sake, that's what's going to happen. There we go. There we go. And there we go. So you got this piece here, which will be the main piece. Now take his arms, and the instructions sort of show you putting them like this on these pegs here, unless I'm totally reading them wrong, but I find it better to put them on here, just because they're more out of the way. Where are we? I just had the other one. There we go. But I suppose it doesn't really matter. I mean, whether you put them here or here, it's the same placement either way, so it doesn't really matter that much. Now for the legs here, you'll see that there is, wrong side, there is a hole here for a peg, and then a peg, which corresponds right here to these two. So you just snap them on like that. Same thing with the other leg. Snap them on here like that, and bam! I don't know why we're Emerald all of a sudden. Let's go down a little bit. And then for the head here, just kind of snap it on. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, whether you have this going like this or this. It's the same length either way. Alright, so that was giving me a little bit of difficulty, but we got it. And now for the drill, it's real simple. You just simply attach it here at the front after you straighten out that peg, because this little peg here bends, so you can get a nice little tail effect. You're going to want to straighten out for this. And boom, there you have the drill mode. Like I said, to be honest, this isn't my favorite of the bunch. I'm not too huge of a fan of it. I think it looks like Q Rex was trying to learn yoga so that he could do something special to himself. It's just really not that appealing looking to me. Nothing too spectacular about it. The main feature you have that is unique to this is the Ranger key actually functions with it, which does not happen in the Japanese version. They didn't have really much Ranger key functionality, or at all functionality with the mecha. So just take the Ranger key here, there's a little slat right up here. You can see, slat, right there. And you just press it in, and the drill will turn. So let's do that. Tell me this doesn't look wrong. I feel wrong doing it. Just tell me, please confirm that it looks wrong. Seriously, it feels wrong. Yeah, so you got that. You can do that in any mode. It's easiest in this mode, and second easiest probably in Megazord mode. Don't really care to do it in Dinosaur mode. It seems like I've given him a tail scratch. Oh, I fell out. See how wrong this is? Oh, it's weird. Like, I love that they actually put Ranger Key functionality in the toys. But this would have been kind of cooler maybe as a turn. I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, I'm like, yeah, drilling action. And then I'm doing that. Okay, anyway. Very, very weird. Now let me just quickly go ahead and we'll pull in the Japanese Goju drill. Ta-da! We got him in here, and there's the difference. Honestly, there's not a huge amount of difference other than the slight paint app differences. They pretty much look the same. The only real difference for me is that the transformations function a little bit different. Like, you know, with these I had to pull the legs completely off, but with this one you just swing them around. And his drill's on a little motor type thing, which you twist, which I will show, I guess, more so in the Megazord mode. But that's really the only main difference, and I guess the only other difference, which is almost hardly worth noting, is that this has like a permanent little wheel thing here, and this one has flaps you pull down. But either way, I'm not a fan of the mode in either version. But yeah, let's go ahead and we will get him out of here. Now, damn it, he lost his thing. Let's put his thing back on. It's embarrassing. Alright, so now we will do the Megazord mode. So in order to do that, we're essentially going to take him apart again. So let's do that right now. There we go. Thank you. Okay, now for this, I actually like to put these down here. Now, unless I'm completely blind, I couldn't find a place in the instructions to tell me where to put these in the Q Rex mode, even though I sort of knew it. So I just like to put them on the bottom pegs, and then you can sort of twist them together so they hide themselves pretty well. And also, these little pegs here can like fold out to create other pegs. So that's just an FYI. But anyway, I just like to do that. It could be in the instructions, and I'm just a complete idiot. But that's what I'm going to show. Alright, so now just put the legs on here like normal legs, just like before. I can find this piece. And there you go. Then you got some normal legs going on there. Now for the drill, just turn this sideways. You got the little port there. And now you have an arm. And then for the other arm, fold this down. Fold this open here. You got a little fist now. Fold this so it makes a shoulder. You got a little peg. Boom. And then this piece here you just fold down. Let me pan up a little bit so we'll be able to see it. And then fold this out here. And you have the head. And fold his little horns out. And boom, there you have the Q Rex Megazord. Like I said, this is a favorite of mine, probably my favorite of the line, and it's probably one of my favorite Megazords. It looks really cool. I think the design is really awesome looking, and honestly, this Megazord looks very solid. There are a few paint apps missing, but I noticed it less in this mode for whatever reason. But I still really like the design, and I think it looks like a very solid substitute there. Here we'll get a nice shot of his back. There you can see, in that region he's got some back arms and stuff. But anyway, overall, it's still a very solid Megazord. I think it looks good on display, just like all of the ones so far. Honestly, I don't think that the Bandai of America ones have been that bad. In this one, I really just wanted a couple paint apps for the Tyrannosaurus mode, but this one honestly looks pretty decent to me. I think it's pretty good. My only real complaint about this mode that they didn't carry over feature-wise is that, which I'll show I guess when I bring it in, the drill actually opens up to create like a missile spear type thing, which I think I actually forgot to show in my Gojujin review, which is kind of funny now. I made this happen. No, but I kind of wish they'd included that. I don't think it would have been that difficult. Just open this up. That would have been kind of neat. It's not a huge deal breaker, but still just kind of a neat thing. Let me pull up Connor back in here, just to show you can still do the that still feels wrong in this mode, so you can still do that. And this is obviously Zord Builder compatible, so you can mix and match it with any other Megazord you want. Before we get to his comparison to his Japanese counterpart, we dust off Legendary Megazord, and here he is next to the Legendary Megazord. As you can see, he is a smidge shorter there. But you can also mix and match with this, and there is a combination that actually happens in the show, which they're essentially just gonna trade arms. Honestly, I can't remember whether the Q Rex is going to take on Legendary Megazord's arms, but I know that Legendary Megazord will take on his arms. At least that's what happened in the other show. But that's just to show you, that's like their version of Zord Builder over there. They just switched them. Pretty lame. There's really not much to it, not much creativity, but you know, it is possible to do that. There's a lot more fun stuff you can do with Zord Builder in terms of that. I mean, that's just sort of the combo from the show, but I've seen some crazy stuff be done if that's your thing, if you really like to do it, which is really neat. A lot of people complain about Zord Builder and how the legacy line is tainted by it, which I don't get. Like, I mentioned this on Twitter, but if there were ports protruding all over these Megazords, I would get it, and it would be interrupting, but all they're doing is just making the same ports every year, so that they're compatible with each other, which creates a lot of playability, and it's not harming anybody. But anyway, after that PSA, let's go ahead and bring in the Japanese counterpart and take a look at them next to each other. And boom goes the dynamite. So here are the two next to each other. I'm going to back them up a little bit. So as you can see, he's quite larger. He does look a little bit better, but like I said, for me, for whatever reason, I don't notice the paint app differences quite as much as I did with Q Rex Mode. So it's not really that huge of a deal. I think this is a very solid representation for it. The only other main difference which I keep meaning to mention, well, here is the little drill mechanism here on this one, which see opens up like that. So you can't do that. And these ones spin differently. They go on sort of a system with this little knob here, which on the back of this exists as just a blue plastic nothing, which isn't a huge deal. Honestly, I'm not really that broken up about the spin gimmick being different. I'm totally cool with the Ranger key being responsible for it. I just wish it didn't feel so wrong. But yeah, those are the two next to each other. Those are the differences. That's pretty much it. But like I said, I don't notice that much of a difference. After seeing that one though, I do wish his head was a little more shiny. Like his head right now feels a little dull. But other than that, I'm still really pleased with this Megazord. I still really like it. I think it's a very solid Megazord. I have a few more complaints about it than I do than most, but they seem more like nitpicks, and I still think it's a solid representation. And at the end of the day, whether you want to go for this one or the Japanese one, it's really up to you personally what you want. If you really like the Zord builder, then definitely pick this one up, because it's cheaper to get, more than likely it's cheaper to get, and it's easier to get. You can run down to your local Target and pick it up, at least while Super Megaforce is out, and you can have a Zord builder. Both of them have their pros and cons, but ultimately I can recommend this as a good substitute or a good representation of the Q Rex. I don't think it's really bad by any means, and it's certainly a lot more cost effective, and it brings a slew of its own exclusive features to the table as well. But so yeah, overall, pretty solid. I really do like this guy. And just in general, I think his design's fun. His transformations are fun and simple, even though I'm not a fan of the drill mode. He's a pretty cool Megazord to mess around with. Anyway, that's about it. Until next time, make sure you check out the Crazy Podcast at writersrangersandrambles.com. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dawson Ryder, signing out.